I was having a conversation the other day with some young adults, sort of between the age of, 18 to 24. And I was asking them about when they've had to vote in the past, although they've probably not voted very much being a young age, have they ever really taken much interest in the government, who's in control? And have they taken much interest in authoritative figures that kind of behind the scenes control a lot of their lives? I was asking them sort of 2, 3 years ago if they took any interest in the government, and they all said no. Didn't really matter who they voted for, as long as their whole life was more about getting a job, and then once they're in their job, saving their money for whatever they want to buy and going out and having fun, and as young people do, enjoying music and enjoying socializing with each other. And then I said, but now, since COVID, and you've had all these restrictions put on you, are you now noticing? And they all said yes. And I thought to myself, that's like I say this often, when we're comfortable and when everything's running smoothly, we don't tend to change things. We tend to stay in our little comfort zone and we just keep moving along. But then if something happens to us, if there's an outside external influence that happens to us, it forces us to change, or we get to a point ourselves where something in our higher self is telling us to change, and then we actually take action ourselves. We will make change because there is this gut feeling saying, I don't belong here anymore, I shouldn't be doing this, I'm supposed to be doing something else. So we either change ourselves or we cruise along in our comfort zone and something happens to us, and it can be, your health is affected, you lost your job, you lose money, something happens, which is the tower moment, which changes your life. So what's happening now is all these younger people that never really took any notice of what government decisions were, what authoritative figures' decisions were, are now taking notice because they've had things taken away from them. They've had their freedom taken away from them. They can't go to their concerts. They can't go out socializing with their friends. They can't have all their friends over to their house because they're being dictated to constantly about how they can live their life. It's caused frustration and anger within them. And now they are noticing who these people are that have put themselves in authoritative places. They're starting to notice different politicians. They're noticing the health minister. They're noticing doctors who are making decisions on behalf of everybody else. They're noticing these things. Whereas 2 years ago, they weren't noticing any of it. So even though it's so difficult what we're going through, it has to be that way so that we notice. Otherwise, we would just be going along exactly the same as always, just not questioning things. Because like now they're questioning the government and authority figures. But they've always been doing that. They've always been behind the scenes making decisions on your behalf, on my behalf. But that we haven't noticed it. And now we're noticing it a lot more. It's like the media. People just turned on the news and they watched the news and then they believed everything. Not anymore. And of course the internet has helped that because we get to hear different sides of a story with the internet. If something happened to me, if I ran out on the road and got hit by a car and a news reporter came over and interviewed me, in the past, the only story that everybody heard was from that news reporter and their perception of what they were looking at. Now with the internet and mobile phones, I can record myself and actually record myself saying what I felt, and it could be totally different to the interpretation of the media. So now we're getting different interpretations from people because of the internet. And that's also making us all question so much more. So I feel like it's a good, even though it's a difficult situation to be in, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that we're questioning more, because I even know myself as a young teenager, and even in my 20s, when it came time to vote, I guess I just voted for whoever in my perception was doing a good job for the country I was living in. So I kind of know in the past, when a lot of people were running their own businesses, they would vote for a politician that helped with their own businesses. And if you were working for somebody else, you voted for the party that were more for the employee, not the employer. So of course you kind of vote for who's going to serve you a purpose, because that's what we all want, what we want. Most of us don't live our life for what everyone else wants. We live it because of what we want and what we want to feel. So yeah, as a young person, I was making those decisions. As I got older and wiser, I was questioning a lot more, especially because I had to run my own business. If it was going to affect my business, I'm obviously going to want to know things. So yeah, I feel like this has to be this way. It has to be this way, because how else would you get people to sit up and go, hey, what's happening here? How do you get people to take notice of government authoritative figures without it affecting them? It has to affect them personally, and something has to be taken away from them before they're going to listen. And that's why things are changing, and it has to be that way. So let me know what you think on this topic. And here's I've just noticed my white. See how it goes all white? There's nothing in this room that's changed, but suddenly just here it goes all white. I think someone's trying to come through. Anyway, thanks for listening to me again, and let me know what you think.